from college and is an instant change. She's handed pretty much being the face of the league. Whether obviously we know she deserves it, but in their eyes, whether they think she deserves it or not, like she's being handed as the face of the league.
Watching Caitlin Clark feels like watching Larry Bird all over again.
When Michael Jordan compares you to Larry Bird, you're not just playing, you're making history. And right now, Caitlin Clark is doing just that. Her court awareness, fearless decision-making, and cool under-pressure style aren't just reminiscent of legends, they're redefining what's possible in the WNBA. Clark isn't just running the floor, she's lifting an entire league. Everywhere she plays, the crowds grow louder, the arenas sell out, and her highlight reels take over social media. She's not just a player anymore, she's a movement. But with the spotlight comes scrutiny. Lately, the noise around her has been relentless critics, hot takes, and attempts to downplay her influence. Still, Caitlin keeps showing up. Game after game, she delivers, proving time and again that there's never been anyone quite like her in the league. In this video, we're cutting through the chatter and spotlighting the voices that matter, from athletes to legends to fans across the globe. Whether people are cheering her on or challenging her game, one fact remains. Caitlin Clark has the entire basketball world watching, just like Bird once did. She's earning her respect, moment by moment, play by play. And, in Indiana, leadership means more than just lighting up the scoreboard. It means presence, poise, and pride. Tyrese Haliburton knows that firsthand. He's led the Pacers with heart and hustle, and when he watches Caitlin Clark, he sees a kindred spirit. A fellow floor general, Haliburton recognizes the weight she carries and respects how she handles it. That's why, when asked about Caitlin, his response was simple and powerful. Total support, because real ones recognize real ones, and Caitlin Clark, she's as real as they come.
I think she's just so amazing what she does. I love being here to support her in any way I can, and I think we're just 2 point guards trying to lead our group to do something special. So any way I can be here to support, I'll be here.
Recognizing the hustle in one another, Caitlin Clark isn't just out there trying to fit in, she's already leading the charge. From calling plays to absorbing contact, she's doing the hard work of raising the Indiana fever, just like Tyrese Haliburton has done with the Pacers. What makes this moment powerful? Haliburton sees it. One of the NBA's brightest young stars, standing shoulder to shoulder with Caitlin, not above her, but beside her. That's real respect. Indiana doesn't just have a rising star, it has two leaders, changing the culture, and sometimes the most telling stat can't be found in the box score, it's in who's willing to stand in your corner, show up, and acknowledge your grind. That brings us to Jason Whitlock. Love him or hate him, he doesn't hold back. This time, he peeled back the curtain on something many whisper about but few say publicly, the undercurrent of what's happening behind the scenes in the WNBA. He's bold, he's loud, and in this case, he may have tapped into a truth that's been hiding in plain sight.
Super team around Caitlin Clark because people want to play with Caitlin Clark.
Yeah.
The Chicago Sky, they look perhaps worse than they were a year ago because people don't want to play with Angel Reese.
Clark isn't just bringing in fans, she's attracting talent. That kind of pull is rare. The Fever didn't have to make grand pitches or lean on a big market location. They didn't need championship banners or flashy promises. They had Caitlin Clark, and that was enough. In free agency, decisions aren't just about the paycheck. They're about belief in a culture, in a direction, and in the person leading the charge. Clark has already become that leader. She brings trust, she brings a standard, and most importantly, she brings others with her. That's the bigger picture behind Jason Whitlock's take. His message wasn't just about Caitlin versus Angel Reese, it was about where the league is heading. Teams aren't just collecting talent, they're building identities. And Caitlin Clark, she's setting the blueprint. She's humble, driven, and marketable. She sells out arenas and lifts locker rooms. For any franchise trying to rebuild from the ground up, she's the dream foundation. Because when players want to join you, not for money, but for meaning, that's the ultimate advantage. Whitlock's point cuts past the headlines. Fans aren't the only ones showing up. Other players want to be a part of this. In a league still carving out space in the sports world, that kind of magnetism matters more than any single stat. Because here's the truth. There are two kinds of fame in sports. There's basketball, fame earned on the court, through MVPs, buzzer beaters, and playoff runs. And then there's cultural fame, the kind that lives outside the game. That reaches school hallways, office chatter, TikTok trends, and grandma's living room. Caitlin Clark lives in that second space. Now she's not in a super team city. She's not coasting on legacy. She's a rookie in Indiana, and somehow, the most talked about name in American basketball. That's why, when Colin Cowherd, a guy known for bold takes, spoke up, he didn't hold back. Because this isn't just about a player lighting up the scoreboard. It's about someone shifting the sport.
many NBA players are more famous than Caitlin Clark? LeBron, Steph, absolutely.
Maybe Durant.
That's what I put. I wrote down KD maybe.
Yeah.
In 1 year, out of women's basketball, for a horrible team when she arrived, outside of LeBron and Steph, she is the most well-known basketball player currently playing in the United
Stars, massive endorsement deals, and athletes with global followings. Caitlin Clark ranks top 3 in name recognition, not just in the WNBA, in all of basketball. It sounds outrageous until you realize it's true. This isn't about who's racking up the most wins or MVPs. It's about cultural movement. And Clark isn't just part of the wave, she's leading it. She's accelerating the sport's relevance in real time, outpacing veterans, outshining campaigns, and outlasting trends. Cowherd didn't deliver his take with shock. He said it, plainly, like it was already obvious to anyone with a phone and a pulse. Caitlin Clark isn't just making noise, she's reshaping the entire basketball landscape. And here's the kicker, she's just getting started. If you're still asking who's next in basketball, not just in the WNBA, but everywhere, stop wondering. The answer's here. It's not a debate, it's Caitlin. But sometimes, the defining moments in sports don't come from last-second shots or title wins. They come from tension. From two players, two styles, two fan bases colliding with the whole world watching. That's what happened with Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese. It wasn't just a rivalry. It was a cultural flashpoint. And according to Jonathan Isaac, that's not a problem. It's the point. Because in sports, friction doesn't weaken the story. It ignites it.
Because of Angel Reese, because of Caitlin Clark, has sparked an interest in women's basketball that wasn't completely there before. So I'm happy for that. And so I want to see it play out. I want to see them, continue to grow their careers and be the best female basketball players that they can be.
Glance. It sounds like Jonathan Isaac is giving equal credit to both sides of the rivalry. But let's be real. If Angel Reese had entered the WNBA without Caitlin Clark in the picture, it wouldn't have made major headlines. The trash talk, the taunts, the fouls, they mattered because of who was on the other end. Caitlin Clark. Angel's viral moment didn't exist in a vacuum. It gained traction because it happened against the face of a movement. Without Caitlin, Angel's entry into the league would have been just another debut. With Caitlin, she became a storyline. Here's the difference. Caitlin Clark didn't need that moment, she didn't need a foil. She arrived in the WNBA already carrying the weight of history, record-breaking stats, a college legacy, and a fan base that didn't just follow her. They showed up for her. Caitlin didn't ride a wave. She was the wave. She didn't need help from hype. She created a schedule shift. She forced primetime coverage. She made the WNBA a must-watch before the so-called rivalry even began. So, yes, Isaac is right, the spotlight is bigger than ever. But let's not twist the facts. The media isn't following Angel Reese and then checking in on Caitlin Clark. It's the opposite. Reese gets coverage because Clark's name headlines the marquee. This isn't a two-woman show. This is a one-woman era, and that era belongs to Caitlin Clark. Sure, the rivalry adds tension. It adds clicks. But the spark that was already lit. The second Caitlin stepped onto a WNBA court. Every league has a moment that changes everything. For the NBA, it was Magic and Bird. For women's tennis, it was Serena. For the UFC, it was Conor McGregor. And now, for the WNBA, that moment is happening. And as Rachel DeMita made crystal clear, there's no question who the reason is.
2024 was a year of unprecedented growth in viewership in the WNBA, a substantial amount of which can be attributed to Caitlin Clark, who took the basketball world by storm after an all-time college career.
Things started happening. Arenas that once struggled to fill the lower bowl were suddenly packed wall to wall. Broadcasts that used to pull modest numbers, now drawing millions of viewers. Entire corners of the internet were lighting up with Caitlin Clark highlights, post-game interviews, hot takes, and fan edits. And let's be clear, this isn't luck. This isn't just a good run of timing. This is her. Caitlin Clark didn't wait for the league to match her momentum. She walked in with the spotlight already blazing. The moment she slipped on an Indiana Fever jersey, the vibe around the WNBA changed. You could feel it because in sports, there are rare, electric moments where a once-in-a-generation talent meets the perfect cultural moment, where a player doesn't just enter a league, they redefine it. Clark came in as the most hyped women's basketball prospect in years, fresh off one of the most unforgettable college careers ever. And somehow, she's surpassed all expectations, not just with her handles, her range, or her court vision, but with how she's carried the weight of it all. She's not flinching, she's not folding, she's elevating everything. Rachel DeMita saw it. And what she recognized wasn't just a star player, it was a shift. A player who forces the conversation. A player who, whether you're rooting for her or praying for her downfall, makes you watch. And for a league that's waited years for this kind of breakout moment, Caitlin Clark didn't just show up. She exploded onto the scene. Of course, not everyone's clapping. For every packed arena and jersey sellout, there's been pushback, whispers, think pieces, doubt, resistance. In some it echoes the tone Megan Rapinoe used recently. She didn't go on the attack, but if you listen closely, the message was clear. Not everyone is ready to embrace the new era, but ready or not, it's here.
I want to become the girl, the team, the coach, the player who cries wolf all the time. It's just like, I feel like sometimes it's just like constant. And like, to what end? And I think especially around the Fever team and especially around Caitlin, this has like been a thing. It was a thing last year. Like sometimes you just have to like play through it and like earn a little bit more respect.
Throwing shade. Maybe, after walking through her own firestorms in the global spotlight, this was her version of tough love. A reminder that when the spotlight hits, so does the heat. That every great player becomes a target eventually. And when it happens, you deal with it. But beneath Rapinoe's words, there's a layer of friction. Because while Clark has absolutely been targeted on the court, in the headlines, on social media, she's done more than just endure. She's thrived. She's taken the fouls, the elbows, the criticism, and the constant commentary, and responded by lacing up and delivering, night after night. She hasn't asked for sympathy. She hasn't ducked from the mic. She just keeps showing up, and hooping. So when Rapinoe says, earn a little more respect, the natural question becomes, what more could she possibly do? She's shattering records. She's breathing life into a rebuilding franchise. She's drawing national attention to a league that's long deserved it. And she's doing all of it with a level of grace and maturity that many veterans still struggle to find. If the standard is, take the hits, stay composed, and let your game speak, Caitlin Clark is already living it, because respect isn't just something you ask for. It's something you command. And right now, Clark is commanding it with performance, poise, and presence. And that brings us to one of the most telling moments of all. Every sport has its legends. The Untouchables. Basketball has Jordan. Tennis has Serena. Football has MESSI. And hockey. Hockey has Wayne Gretzky, the great one, a man with so many records. The NHL had to change how it talks about statistics just to make room for him. When he speaks, it's rare. When he praises someone outside his own sport, it's almost unheard of. So when Wayne Gretzky, from across the sports universe, looked over and publicly applauded Caitlin Clark, it wasn't just surprising, it was historic.